Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to episode 4 of our new show, which is Judgment, the Hidden Sin, how judgment shapes our relationships, workplaces, and beliefs, and is based on this book, Holy But Harmful, The Silent Sin of Judgment. And what I ask you is, are you judging a book by its cover? Are you judging me because I wrote this book? Are you saying to yourself, I'm not judgmental, so I'm not going to pick it up? I want you to think about those things. It all falls under the category of judgment. My guest today is a dear friend, someone who's been with me since the very beginning, and also part of our USA Global TV and Radio family. Her name is Megan Sandwick. She is on the West Coast of the United States of America, and she has a show here called Intentional Productivity Tips. She's a coach. Let's bring her out and let's get into the topic today. Welcome, Megan. Hello.
Hey, Dr. Jacalyn, how are you? It is so good to be on a show with you again and to see your smiling face.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been a while since we've been together. You are producing shows here as well as hosting your own show. What's the journey been like?
You know, I will say it has been a positive journey, and it has been a journey that I didn't think that I had the ability to do, to be honest with you. When you very first talked to me about creating a show, which I called Intentional Productivity Tips, I was a little nervous. I was like, should I be doing this? Who am I to be doing this? Was I judging myself just a little bit, maybe? Thinking, should I be on YouTube? And then as I've done it, I've realized, yes, I should. It's been a great process to create, learn, connect with people, share productivity tips, learn what people like, what people don't like, and then having the opportunity to produce. Again, I was like, I can't do that. That's too hard. So I think for me, the best thing about being a part of the USA Global TV and Radio family has been the opportunity, the trust, the belief, and knowing that I can do whatever. You're going to support me. The channel and everyone's going to support me. So that's been a really good feeling.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I love having you here. I love how you jumped in. You did some research first. You thought about it, and then you made an informed decision, which I always love. So our topic today is breaking free from self-judgment, coaching strategies that empower. So you're a coach. I'm a coach. We have, I think on LinkedIn, 6 million coaches is what I've been told. Everyone is a coach. Some people are certified. Some people are not. Some people have one process and others have another. The process that I use is asking a powerful question that is open-ended and then keeping silence so that I give space for the client to answer. What type of approach do you use?
Very similar, although I will say it can be hard for me. Learning to be silent and learning to be comfortable with the silent space with clients has been something that I've had to learn as a coach, because as someone who likes to help people, I want to jump in and I want to make it easier. I want to help. And so it's really I've learned a lot about providing that silence. I also will say I observe a lot. One of the things that I tell my clients, especially when we first meet, whenever it is, when I show up on a Zoom with somebody, I can tell so much by somebody's face, especially from their eyes. I can tell a lot how they're doing. And that kind of guides me on, do I need to let people talk? Do I need to promote? Do I need to be more proactive? But I will say that just watching people's face and how they show up to a Zoom call is hugely informative and has guided me a lot in how to support clients.
I really appreciate that perspective. Thank you for sharing that. And Megan, you and I have had happy hours, which sometimes involve beverages and sometimes do not, but we talk a lot, support each other, provide mentoring and coaching. And I think personally, it's very important to have people you can talk with who will listen to you. So when it comes to coaching, how important is the ability to have an open mind?
So important. It's so invaluable. And I think in two ways, like you said, a support system is hugely important. I call mine my A team, my angel team. By the way, you're part of my angels. But I call it my A team, people that I can call and can just depend on. Sometimes I just need to vent. Sometimes I just need to say, hey, listen to me. Sometimes I just need somebody to hold space for me. And so that has been hugely important to me in having that space and having support with people. And so I think for me, focusing on nurturing and being intentional, like you said, with happy hours, it's important as a coach that we continue to, first of all, believe in our clients, but first we have to believe in ourselves. And so first, if we're not okay, it's going to be very hard for us to be a coach to people. So taking care of ourselves, whether it be happy hours, whether it be angels, whether it be the team that supports us, whether it be having a space, it's super important, I would say.
Absolutely. And I just want to share with our audience that Megan has no idea what I'm going to ask her because I have no idea what I'm going to ask her. It's just an authentic conversation. There's no script, so it just flows. I know myself, there are times because I am alone and I just need to blither. I call it just blithering. And I know I've done that with you many times where I'm just like, I just need to get it off my chest. And it feels so good to know that you're there just listening. And I've never felt judged by you, which is super important. So as coaches, and sometimes I can't speak for these professions, but I over the years, I've gone to a psychologist, for example. Sometimes in this role, there is judgment about what the person's sharing. And that judgment doesn't necessarily have to be bad. It could be that you get so emotionally involved with the person and what they're sharing that you're unable to keep a perspective or keep that distance. What are your thoughts about that?
I completely agree. And for me, interestingly, as my path to a strategic productivity partner or a coach that helps people specifically with productivity, as my path working with clients in productivity in my personal life at the same time as I was becoming a coach, I started studying meditation, Buddhist studies, and mindset. And so for me, being on those two paths together at the same time, starting my coaching career or working for myself as a coach and learning mindfulness and mindset, what it really helped me with is to realize that, just as you said, I need to show up honestly with my clients. It helps me to say, okay, what is the guide? Why am I helping this person? What is the purpose of this? And what is my role in it? And I will be honest with you, it's interesting when working with people on productivity, because there's times when people are like, oh, so you help people with a to-do list? And it's like, well, yes, that is part of it. But the heart of helping people with their productivity is looking at the bigger picture of all of the stuff and things that they need to do in their life. It's not just about work. So one of the things that I've learned is I have an amazing insight to my clients' lives. And so for my clients and I, trust is the absolutely most important thing. And there have been times actually when clients have been involved in something personal, when I've had to say to them, gosh, I know you so well. I am your productivity person, and I'm also Megan. And so I'll be honest and just say, this is so very challenging. This is a hard time. How can I help you? And so sometimes there's times, again, because I know my clients so personally, and I know a lot of us coaches do, there's sometimes where I have to be human and step back and just say, I am your productivity partner. And that is at 95% of the time. But there are a few times when things happen in life. I'm a human person and I know you and I want you to succeed. And so I kind of break that wall. I know when I've talked to other coaches, they're like, I would never do that. And for me, I've learned in the moment, it's part of that mindfulness of showing up for the person in the whole situation. I don't know if that kind of is what you were asking, but it's something that's been important for me.
No, you're spot on. And I can actually let our audience know that I've experienced this myself, because you have helped me in many ways with productivity, but then also personally, you've helped me in many ways. And I think that productivity is personal, because basically, and I'll just use myself as an example, as you know, there are a number of things I didn't want to let go of because it was a control thing. And it's also that fear of maybe what my processes are so unhealthy, for example, or they're not the best format, and then exposing yourself to that. It's kind of like going for an annual physical, if you will, and then you get your test results and the doctor's like, oh my. So you're really good at that. You can help coach people from a productivity standpoint, but also from a personal and a life stance.
Absolutely. And it is interesting when I very first work with clients, like when they show me their, whatever it is, their calendar or whatever is, there is always this like, I'm so, there's always kind of a, I'm embarrassed or I don't want to show you. And the first thing that I say to my clients is, this is your productivity. It is about you. Productivity is the one place in life we get to be 100% selfish and do whatever works for us. And so for me, one of the things that I've learned is repetitive lines and repeating things are important when you're in a coach, especially if you're working with personal things, because then it gives somebody that mental playlist to be like, it's okay that I've got this. No, productivity is mine. I can do what I want. No, my calendar is mine. And one of the things I had one client that I very first started working with. He was an Australian, and his organization method was chaos. And what I said to him is, great, as long as it's chaos and it makes sense to you, then I'll help you set it up so that it can work for you. And that's where, for me, working with people in productivity, it's really easy to give people the ownership because they're the ones that's going to be sitting down and doing the task. So that's been an easy way for me to remember, like, I don't need to get too involved. I'm not sitting down and doing this. We're logging off and I'm done until I see them again. So that's really helped me to realize, again, people are not going to feel comfortable. They feel like they're exposing their innermost to me, right? I had one male client say, I think this must be what it's like for a woman to go to a gynecologist. And I was like, well, I mean, I kind of understood that. And it made me laugh. And I was like, people feel exposed. So how can we make people feel comfortable and also confident? The thing that I say, if you're hiring a coach, especially a productivity coach, you're already ahead of the game. You know that you want to work on something. You're putting the effort and energy into it. So I'm going to be here to help you however that is.
That's fantastic. I love that perspective. And I think for our audience, when you are reaching out and asking for help, that's a good thing. That's the first step. You're saying, hey, and then you come to the coach and you feel embarrassed. Why embarrassed? Because the coach is there to help you. So if there weren't any challenges or anything that you wanted to look at more intently, then you might be stuck in the same place. But the fact that you're open to it, I think, is amazing. So one of the techniques that I use is the circle of happiness, which I should have had a graphic here, but basically it's a circle. It's like a pie and it's divided into slices. And then each slice represents something. So it could be personal development, professional development, relationships, financial security, etc. And then where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of I feel really happy? And if you think about all the numbers being the same, then a wheel going around, that'll work. But typically there's 1 or 2 or 3 areas that are askew. And so once somebody starts to map that out and they're looking at it, sometimes they're ashamed of that. They don't want to go there because they think, oh, by this age, I should be this. And of course, should is a judgment. So what I'd like us to discuss now, if you're open to it, is how we can help people with eliminating the shoulds and the judgments that we have about ourselves, which are basically, in my opinion, based on fear.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
What would you say to that?
Absolutely. Whenever somebody is coming again, and I love the circle of the wheel that you're talking about, because I think it's important for us to look again holistically, WHOLE, holistically at our lives, right? Because sometimes people will say, oh, if I'm happy in this area, it's going to work, or if I'm happy in this area. But to look at the entirety of the life is important. And it is eye-opening, because I'm sure, Dr. Jacalyn, you've had clients that are like, oh no, I have a balanced life. And then they start to look at it and they're like, oh, but I don't take care of my health, or I take care of everyone else's, but not my own. And so that's why I think something like that is good, to be able to say, okay, let's look at your life, and what is it for the chapter in your life you're in right now? What is it that you want your life to look like? I think, one, it's important for us to realize we all have different chapters and phases of our life, and we cannot compare ourselves to people in different chapters and phases of their life. And so in that sense, it's important to say, okay, what is your life? Where are you in your life right now? And how is it that you want to make it happy? What is it that you want? And when you're able to start seeing, and when you're starting to hear people say, oh, I haven't done this, or oh, I need to do this, or oh, this isn't going to work for me. All of those, like you said, Dr. Jacalyn, whenever someone starts making those statements, I think of them as gold, right? They're nuggets, because it's giving us some insight into them. If someone says, oh, I'll never have time to take care of this. Okay, so let's look at what you're spending your time on, right? And when I say that, I don't just mean physically, but it's also emotionally. It's also thinking, wait, I need to take care of others and not myself. And so there is that element of fear, of this perception of what we should, like you said, what we should be doing. And we need to put the shoulds away, and we need to focus on what we need to be doing for ourselves, if that makes sense.
I completely agree with that. Well said. And an example I want to give, which is, people might think it's a little off topic, but it's not. I was traveling for business when I was in corporate, and I was meeting one of our executives, and my bag had been checked, and we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and she didn't check a bag. So I was kind of embarrassed, because she kept saying, your packing skills maybe could use some assistance. And at that moment, I thought, oh, I'm with the executive, and now we're waiting for the bag. So what ended up happening was, she offered to help me when it comes to packing. Now, for those of you who've traveled with me, I'm still not a light packer, but I pack much later than I used to, especially if it's in the US. But she gave me some great coaching about looking for patterns of color. So it's all black, it's all brown, or it's all bright, so that everything is sort of in a theme. And then you don't have to bring as many things, because you could wear this with that and that with this. And so what went from being a fear of being completely embarrassed about not knowing, when you don't know something, then that's not an excuse, by the way. I forget what the statement is about ignorance is not an excuse, but being open to getting information can really change things up. So for any of you who are out there and are thinking that you know everything, I don't know that it's possible, but maybe being curious and being open to what else is out there, and how people like Megan can help you.
Mm-hmm.
So Megan, tell us a little bit about exactly what you do as a productivity coach.
I will. Can I make one comment really
Yes,
quickly
of
about
course.
the packing thing? Because I love that example. And as you and I have talked about before, I am not a light packer and will never subscribe to that. But I think what's great about what you just said in that statement of saying, hey, here is a person, she offered to give me guidance. I learned some great things. I was able to incorporate it. And then also realize that I'm still going to pack what I'm going to pack. And to me, that is the part where we are setting ourselves free, right? Because we're saying, I've taken the insight, I have learned lessons, and I have decided what's right for me, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do it with pride, if you will. So I wanted to just bring that up, because I love that you took her advice, that you learned from it, and you're still yourself. Because I think in a way that's part of judgment, right? We think, if a person with this title tells me something, I have to make the change. Now, the person with this title is telling you something for great insight, but that doesn't mean you have to change just to be like them. So I love that. Anyway, sorry, I just had to bring that up.
No, I appreciate it. I do, because I think it helps other people as well, that there's no shame. The shame, if anything, is in not asking, but that's also judgmental. So I just think being curious and being open is a part of who I am. That's part of the reason why I love to travel and meet new people, because I'm very interested to see how people live and how they think about things. Let's go over to productivity, and then we'll take a break from our show and go over to our sponsors. But just at a high level, if you can share some of what you do.
Absolutely. So my show is called Intentional Productivity Tips. And as a strategic productivity partner, I believe in the value of intentional productivity. My show and what I think about productivity, and this, again, this is taking it from the emotional stance. My goal with productivity is to remove it from the emotional feelings of I feel stressed or overwhelmed that I can't do this. It's to move it from that. And it's to say, okay, let's look at you. Let's learn how you operate and how can we support that. And I do that by looking at your productivity systems, habits, processes, automations, and mindset. What I have found working with thousands of clients as a strategic productivity partner over the last 12 years is if I start with a person and we say, okay, what are your systems and habits? What are your processes and automation? Let's look at your tools. Let's look at all of that. And then that's also the thread that's going to hold that together is your mindset. And so it is how you look at it, how you're setting it up, your process. I had one client, one of the biggest aha moments that I had a client who was very organized, very specific with things. One day we were setting up the system and he froze. And I was like, it's pretty, it's got colors. I was like, I think this is exactly what you want. And he looked at it and he was like, but it's all red and I don't want to see red on my screen. He's like, can we change that color? And again, he was so physically stressed about this because red gave his mind a perception of something that wasn't positive, and it was all over the screen and that was causing him stress. And in that moment, I realized whatever it is for a person to be more comfortable, to be more present, to be able to focus on their productivity, that's what we need to give them. That's what we need to find. So for me, when it comes to productivity, it's about looking at you. It's looking at what is your systems, what is your habits. For example, I love to be creative in the middle of the night. I'm not going to be able to wake up early and do productive work, right? That's me. What we want to do and what I do as a coach is say, I don't care. I don't care what you do. I care you do something, but how you do it, I don't care about. So when it comes to productivity, it's trying to give you that space and that freedom to say, what is it that I need to do? How can I do it so that I am my best, so that I can enjoy this life I've worked so hard to create?
You're doing an excellent job, Megan. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. We're going to go to a quick break, but before we do, I just want to mention this incredible book, From Fear to Freedom. We're talking about coaching today. This is by Dr. Alkistis Agio, who is in the southern part of Greece, and I just had the opportunity to spend time with. This is based on Greek philosophy, and basically it's the Agio method, which is a 3-step path from fear to freedom. And what I really learned from her is that you can come from a place of love or from a place of fear. And that really truly is the difference between how everything happens and the decisions that you make. So you can pick this up over on Amazon. Let's take a quick break and go over to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book, Dementia Home Care, How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram-Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio. Welcome back to our show today. It's a pleasure to have you. And thank you to Tracy Cram Perkins for her continued support and sponsorship. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and we're talking about coaching and how we as coaches can help eliminate, minimize judgment on our end as well as our clients. Joining me is the star of Intentional Productivity Tips, which you can see here on USA Global TV and Radio, and also one of our tremendous producers. Let's welcome Megan Sandwick back to the program. Hello, Megan. How are you?
I am so good. I'm so glad to be. This is such an enjoyable time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. How is it for you when I'm producing instead of you producing?
I mean, I'm just sitting here kind of like, whoa, it's kind of cool. It makes me appreciate again how good you are at multitasking and how you've always made it so seamless, because I feel like I don't. So it's fun. I appreciate
You do a great job. You do. So please, we can't doubt ourselves, right? That's what we're talking about today, the doubt. So
Right.
I know for me, when I first started coaching, someone shared something personal with me about their weight. And the doctor said that if they didn't lose weight, that they could potentially die, which ultimately they did.
Mhm.
And when I first had the coaching session with this client, I started crying. I started crying because I felt so badly for the other person. And it was maybe 20 minutes into we're both crying. And I'm thinking, wow, this is completely unprofessional. And I didn't feel like I was making a judgment about myself, but I thought it was a reality. So that's kind of what I want to talk about also, between judgments and reality. The reality was that I was being hired as a coach, and it was a safe space. And so when I showed my emotions and they went on for 20 minutes, I don't know that I was providing any value or support. And so I think there's a fine line there between how much emotion we do show and then how we reel it back, which is difficult sometimes. So what are your thoughts about when we feel or think something about ourselves that could potentially be true, as to whether or not it's a reality and or a judgment?
That is super important. And it does happen when we're coaching, because again, as a person who is a coach, you have to think like, the reason that we're coaches is because we like to support, right? We like to provide help. We like to see things improve or transform. And so it's important to remember from the coach's perspective that that is a reality. But it's also then important to remember and realize, okay, what is a coach or the service? Just like you're talking about the person you were working with, right? Identifying. And for me, that's where it's interesting, because again, for me, it's a very clear title: productivity, which we know impacts the rest of your life. And so it's important as a coach to look at, what are you doing? What is the purpose of it? And then it's always important to remind yourself that it's not about me and my desired outcome. I have to 100% support my client in what they want to do. Obviously, if there's something dangerous or illegal, or you know what I mean, we have boundaries and professional guidance, obviously. But when you're thinking about it, what we want to do is we want to realize and look at, okay, what is it that they need from us? So one time, the first time I had a client call with an emergency, like, Megan, are you available right now? I had a client call me one day. And it was one of my first clients. This was pre-pandemic. So this was probably like 2018. Was a client that worked in San Francisco, is a tech executive. He was a product tech executive for one of the big companies. And that day he had been fired. And it crushed everything about him. And so in that moment, he was calling me because this had happened. His life was impacted and he felt stressed and negative. And so I know as his productivity partner, he was calling me to kind of figure out how to move forward. And I was a great person that he thought of calling. So of course I was supported. But in that moment, I had to realize that there was a part of me, because it was for an app that we all use. And so there was a part of me, the human part, who wanted to talk to him and be like, yeah, man, that sucks, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And kind of wanted to go in that part and like kind of wanted to be in that place with him. But what I quickly realized is what his issue was the fact that he had been fired. That word was what stressed him out. And so in listening to him, and in my mind, I kept thinking, he's calling me for a reason. There's something I'm going to provide. I'm not going to be the place right now that just vents with him, but there's something that's sticking with him. So as I kept listening to him, he's like, how can I say I got fired? What about this? And so then I started realizing, okay, what is the hardest part about this? And what he realized in that moment was that he didn't want to tell people he was fired. And so the CEO of the company was a very good friend of his. And so in that moment, I was like, what if you call the CEO in a moment, give it a couple of days, but you are friends, you've been through a lot in a startup. What if you're able to contact that person and say, hey, can we change the language or have a conversation about that? And that's what he did in that moment. And he was able to work through it and then be comfortable with it. Right. So for me in that call, it was at the beginning where I wanted to be, man, this sucks. I can't believe this happened. But I realized that it wasn't about me and my response in that moment. There was something in that moment that was a stressor for him that he didn't realize what it was. And I was a person that was able to listen and help. And so what I had to realize in that moment was it didn't matter to me what I felt or what I was. I was more being the detective of what is it that is disturbing you about this moment, and how is there a way to turn it around? Is there a way? And yes, he had a lot of judgment with that word, and we talked about that. And he also realized what he wanted to do for that. And so for that, it was a great lesson for me in how to sit back and be a supportive coach in a personal situation and not take it to another place with him.
Thanks so much for sharing that example. That's really powerful. And I think also with coaching, what you're sharing and also what we're really talking about today at the foundation is finding a solution. And to find the solution, we eliminate the judgment and we find what are the obstacles that are keeping us from getting to where we want to go. And most of the time they're based on negative emotions and or fear. Fear of something. And I know just through my travels, many times you're in a situation where you've never been in that situation before, or you're meeting new people and something is coming up and it's based on fear. It's not based on love. So we can look at things from a perspective of love, of what a phenomenal opportunity this is, even though I've never been in this situation before. Or, oh my gosh, what if this happens and what if that happens? And many people that I know of do live their life like that. They're afraid of trying anything new. So they're not even open to the idea of coaching because they don't think there's anything to be coached on. And it's the same thing with judgment. They don't believe that they are judgmental, but we're humans. We're all judgmental. And so I think why you and I are even doing this show is to bring awareness so that we can start to look at our lives and take control over our emotions, our feelings, so that we feel happier and have more peace.
Absolutely. And I love you said that. And I actually have a real-time kind of example of that. So one of my clients that I've worked with for a very long time, you talked about what do I do as a productivity partner. One of the things I do is work with clients that they have a daily process that you identify, okay, what's all of the stuff and things you need to check? The voicemails, the Slack messages, all of the things that you need to check, your calendar, your email, right? Then I help my clients create a daily process and they complete that. Well, I have one client that I've worked with the longest. He won't do his daily process alone. Unless I'm on a Zoom with him staring at him, he won't do it. And so it's interesting because there's a lot of times where when he describes it, he's like, oh, I suck. I won't do this unless. And I always come back to, no, you have found the secret sauce for you to complete your process. Now, the secret sauce happens to be being on a Zoom with me. Thanks. I appreciate it. But, it's one of those things where at the very pure, it's great that it's been one of my longest running clients because it's able for me to remember, like, whatever it takes for you to complete the process, let's make that happen. And so if that's setting up a call regularly so you go through it, then do it. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? It's between you and me. Nobody else cares. And so I think for me as a coach, and I'm sure for you, Dr. Jacalyn, having lived through some of these experiences and having watched my clients, I realize like whatever it takes for you to do it, do it. Again, as long as it's not illegal. But like you said, and I love the fact that you talked about, it's about the solution. And when we focus on the solution, we remove the judgment. So if the solution is for me to complete this process, to have this happen, there's no judgment in that. That's a fact. And so we don't have to judge it. We can be confident in it and we can save that energy to do our work rather than judge ourselves.
You hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. And I feel like it also comes down to three things before we say something. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary?
Yep.
But what happens, at least for me, and I've been working a lot on it, is that I get emotional about something and then I don't even think about those three things.
Yeah.
And it just happened actually recently that something was just really bothering me. And I was going to approach it from a negative aspect. And then I started thinking about it. I don't even know why, but I just thought before you do this or that, why don't you think of it and try to find a solution? But
Yeah.
sometimes I also feel that it's you get worn down in the process of looking for the solution because you don't see the gold star or you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I
Mhm.
feel that's what happens with coaching clients as well. They want immediate overnight results. But
Yes.
yet to get to whatever where they are with whatever their situation is, that didn't happen overnight either. And
Mm-mm.
so what would you share with people who are watching today or in the future about wanting that immediate result from coaching?
And that is true. And it's one of the things that I talk about. The joy of coaching is that, again, it's a process, and it is about trusting yourself, and it's about the journey. And so one of the things that I will say is there are times when clients think that they're going to have a monumental change, like you said, in 24 hours. Like, I'm going to meet with you once, Megan, all my stuff's going to be organized, my priorities, my calendar, everything. And I'm like, well, and I always tell my clients, I appreciate that you have that confidence in me, but that isn't what is going to happen. So one of the other things that's important is setting realistic expectations for ourselves. And so one of the things that at the end of my first appointment with my client is I remind them, you took a big step today. You showed up, you committed, you are present, and you're taking action. Now, do you want this action to happen faster? Yes. But again, this isn't the quick fix, right? We're talking about habits and processes. The other thing that it's important to remember whenever you want something to happen overnight is pick one thing and have that happen overnight, right? So maybe I can't organize my entire calendar, but I can organize tomorrow, and then I can organize the following day. And then those days are going to start feeling better. And so one of the things with coaching for both the coaches and for clients is to remember that coaching is a process. It's not transactional. Now, there is some coaching that's transactional, but the kind of coaching we're talking about when you're talking about habits in life, it's a process. And so setting smaller expectations, no, not smaller, setting realistic expectations that every day I'm getting closer, every day I'm making a difference, every action I'm making a difference. I had one client one day because he would always put things in a pile. You know what I mean? If he had documents or mail or everything, he'd put it in a pile and then the pile would grow and he wouldn't do anything with it. And so we talked about, instead of putting it in the pile, look at it and put it where it needs to go. And so he did that for an entire day. And at the end of the day, he messaged me and he's like, my pile didn't grow. And you know what? That might sound like it is small and minute, but it wasn't, because it was the habit starting and the pile growing. And so again, it's starting to think about, and as coaches, we need to celebrate and recognize when every action and the energy that's important.
Wow, that's really incredible that you shared that. And the personal and professional stories really make a difference because I think it helps people really hone in on it. So, when we think of concluding our show today and bringing everything together, I feel we didn't get to where we are overnight and we have to do the work. And the work involves making changes. And when we make changes, we can either look at it from a place of love or a place of fear. And if we want to look at it from a place of fear, then don't expect you're going to grow. And without curiosity, without wonder, you'll stay stagnant. And that's okay. There's no judgment on it. For me, I don't want to stay stagnant. I'm very curious. I want to keep learning until the day I check out of here. So, are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about growing and learning?
It's important. And one of the things that I've learned, and I will say, the universe has blessed me and has connected me with clients at particular times in my life when I needed and when they needed. Because one of the best things that I will say, I learn more from my clients sometimes, I think, than they learn from me, because I'm able to watch and see people. And so for me as a coach and working with people, it has been so important to sit back and also to know when to be quiet, and also to remember that on a regular basis. It's important for me to have, I call it meditation time. You could call it whatever you want. I have meditation time where I do remember I am a coach, I am a strategic productivity partner, and I remember the purpose and what I am doing so that I am connected with that. So that when I have calls, when I'm working with people, I'm connected with my purpose and why it is that people hired me. Another thing that I would want to say is, Dr. Jacalyn, you brought up a really good point earlier, and I don't know if you realize that you did this, but you were just talking about showing up for our clients. And the other thing it's important from a coach's perspective is to remember when we're scheduling, when we're looking at our time. One of the things I've said, I'm not creative early in the morning. I work great with clients early in the morning. And so we need to know ourselves about that. And it's also important to know when we need to take breaks. Don't schedule 10 hours of client calls back to back, right? One of the things we need to do is we need to take care of ourselves and our energy and show up for our clients the best we can. So we have to be realistic and honest with ourselves so we can be honest with our clients. And sometimes it is nice to be able to say, that day I'm not meeting with, I don't have availability that time because I'm already meeting with enough people and I need to have schedule and time for myself. It's a really good way for us as coaches. We get to show our clients in practice what it is that we're doing and how we're taking care of ourselves and our mindset. Because again, as I've mentioned, productivity is about systems, habits, processes, automations, and mindset. So mindset is important for us and for our clients. Some of our clients feel a little uncomfortable sometimes with that, but that's okay. We understand that, right? We know that it's our belief that in our mind frame, that's going to be helping us with getting where we want to go.
And Megan, you summed it up so well. Coaching is an opportunity. It is a time to take whatever it is you're doing. Maybe it's your life. It could be life coaching, career coaching, business coaching, productivity coaching, health and wellness coaching, and to take whatever that area, that aspect of that whole circle of happiness, that wheel of happiness, and take it up to a 10. So if you're having trouble going from a 5 to a 10, a 6 to a 10, an 8 to a 10, whatever it is, look into hiring a coach or hiring a mentor, working with someone. And if you don't have the funds to do it, maybe you can barter. Maybe there are services that you can exchange and work something out. Megan, what's the best way for people to reach you, and who would you like to contact you?
So the best way to reach me, 2 ways. You can reach me on Instagram, Intentional Productivity Tips. Again, I do have my show, Intentional Productivity Tips, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific. And also you can reach me at megan@indelible.global. That is my email, megan@indelible.global. Who would I like to reach out to me? Anybody that's looking at your productivity, at what you need to get done, and you think that there has got to be a better way. It could be an entrepreneur, could be a consultant, could be a manager, could be anybody, but anyone who wants to say, is there a better way? That's what I want to help you do, because there is.
And we are sharing your Instagram right now for people to connect with you, Intentional Productivity Tips. Megan, it's been an absolute honor and pleasure to be here with you as we're friends and colleagues. Thank you for getting up at so early there on the west coast of the US of A.
Hey, it's light out. And I don't know, did you see there were some deer that ran by during part of the show?
No, I didn't see it. I did. That's pretty cool though. So for people who are wondering, it's not a green screen background. It's the real deal.
This is me and nature.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. It was great seeing you, and thanks for making the time.
Thank you for having this conversation. It is such an important one. And I think that remembering to be kind to ourselves and not judge is the most powerful thing we can do. Best gift we can give ourselves this fall.
I agree with you. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, there's our show for this week, episode 4. And something I want to share with you, as I was on the flight back from Greece yesterday, I was watching the in-flight entertainment center. And before anything comes on, when you go to entertainment, you get this guy who's giving a promo for his show that he has on YouTube. And I looked at the background, and I must have seen, because I watched 9 shows, it was a long flight. It wasn't until the 9th show that I looked in his background and I saw this YouTube Silver Creator Award that he had. And I thought, oh my gosh, isn't that genius that he put that on his green screen background, or maybe it was his real background. And I thought, we're going to have that on all of our shows. And so even though that wasn't coaching specifically, I actually was interested in what this person had to share, and I learned something, and now I'm incorporating it and I'm sharing it with you. So being curious, staying open, wanting to learn can bring so much into your life. And also lending a hand and helping other people can also be so enjoyable. I want to close out our show today, as I've been closing out many of our other ones, with not that one, that's the wrong one, sorry, who's producing. Okay, with 5 peace actions, empowering people to create a just and peaceful world. I am a peace ambassador. I take this very seriously. And if one person can walk away benefiting from these 5 peace actions from World Citizen Peace, just one, if not hundreds of thousands, it would be so rewarding. Seek peace within yourself and others. What does this mean? We're the answer. Look back at us. Look in the mirror. We have the power to change the world. It's not up to someone else. No one's coming to save us. It's all about us. And seeking peace within others. Instead of deciding to nitpick or argue or keep this uncomfortable negative conversation going, step away. Find an alternative. Maybe just say, thank you for sharing. I have a different perspective, and I'd appreciate if we could change the subject. The second is reach out in service. That doesn't mean that you have to donate hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you can, then that's an option for you. But maybe reaching out in service means lending a hand to someone in your circle, someone that you can help lift up, somebody that you can be a listening board, a sounding board, an elevated listener for. After all, we all want to feel safe. Next, protecting the environment. Think about our own behaviors. What are we doing with our trash? What are we doing? What's our perspective when it comes to plastic? What are we doing when it comes to growing plants, maybe planting a tree for someone doing something? There's many things that we can do. Keeping our ocean safe, teaching children about the ocean, which brings me to this book, which is called Bubble Buddies Bay. And this is an amazing book. It's to teach children about keeping the ocean clean. And this was written and put together by Deborah Wooten and her team there in Greece and in the UK. So there's always something that we can do to help others. And respecting diversity. This is part of why I love to travel. I love to go into other cultures and learn about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and just talk to people and get an understanding. What's it like to live in your country? What's the cost of living like? What are some of the laws that you have, or what are some of your foods that you have? There's so much to learn if you're open. And being a responsible citizen of the world, many times we get into this isolated tunnel that it's just about me. It's just about me. It's about the collective world. It's about all of us. We all have a gift in being here. So let's help one another. Let's be kind. Let's be gracious. And before we speak, think to ourselves, is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it true? Thank you for listening. We'll be back with another episode shortly. And until then, please do consider purchasing a copy of Holy But Harmful, which is all about different types of judgments. It's based on neuroscience. It's based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's based on elevated listening. It is a journey for all of us. That's why we're here. It's a journey to learn. And also pick up a copy of From Fear to Freedom by this incredible Dr. Aggio. She has the Aggio method, a 3-step path from fear to freedom. And look at your own life. Are you making decisions based on fear, or are you making a decision based on love? Dr. Aggio has some incredible retreats. They're coming up. We'll be giving more information about them. In the meantime, do go over to Amazon and pick up a copy, From Fear to Freedom. If you're looking to have a life that is filled with peace and joy, and one that you really are happy with and glad that you're living. Bye for now. Over to our sponsors.
Get ready to wear the brand that's changing the world of media. Introducing the official USA Global TV and Radio online store. From our TV show hosts to our incredible global guests, you asked, we delivered. Rep your appearance with pride. Whether you've been on air, hosted a show, or tuned in, we have something just for you. Visit us at usaglobaltvradiosshop.myspreadshop.com and start shopping today. Check back frequently. We're dropping fresh new designs all the time. Showcase your role in our global community. These designs celebrate your voice, your story, your presence. It's more than just merchandise. It's a movement of hope, inspiration, education, and elevated listening. Head to usaglobaltvradiosshop.myspreadshop.com. Your spotlight awaits. USA Global TV and Radio. Elevate your style. Elevate the world.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives, one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.